the hope that somebody will come along and say, there's money in this, let's support Meghan and her as ever brand. I thought she behaved so badly, and then Harry too.
The Supreme Court in London has never witnessed anything like this. Forget the Netflix documentaries.
It's really hard to look back on it now and go, what on earth happened?
The Oprah interviews.
Now, someone with a sharp set of eyes has noticed perhaps a mistruth in the Oprah interview.
Or the endless complaints about privacy invasions. What just unfolded in Courtroom Number 7 has shattered everything you thought you knew about Harry and Meghan's fairy tale romance. When legendary investigative journalist Tom Bower stood before the court and uttered two names, Trevor Engelson and Operation Cuckoo, the entire room descended into chaos. Harry sat frozen, his face drained of color. Meghan fled the courtroom in tears, her carefully constructed facade crumbling before the world's eyes. And the British monarchy? They're facing their greatest constitutional crisis in modern history. This isn't gossip. This isn't tabloid speculation. This is testimony delivered under oath by a man who has destroyed the reputations of billionaires and politicians with nothing but irrefutable evidence. And what he's revealed about Archie's true parentage could permanently erase a line of succession and destroy the Sussex brand forever. Are you ready to learn why Buckingham Palace has buried this truth for nearly a decade? Are you prepared to discover what Trevor Engelson, Meghan's forgotten ex-husband, has to do with the British throne? Subscribe right now. Hit that like button. And don't you dare look away, because the truth is about to explode. The executioner arrives. January 2026. The sky over London isn't just grey. It's heavy with the weight of revelation. Crowds surge toward the Supreme Court of Justice, not for a typical property dispute or celebrity divorce proceedings. They've come to witness either the fall of modern royalty or the exposure of the century's most sophisticated lie. Inside Courtroom Number 7, the air is suffocating. International journalists fill every available seat, their pens poised over notepads, waiting. The tension is palpable, almost physical. And then he entered. Tom Bower. Silver hair. Eyes like razors. A man who doesn't tell stories. He executes reputations with surgical precision. In the world of investigative journalism, Bower isn't just respected. He's feared. From media moguls to corrupt politicians, anyone who falls within his crosshairs knows one absolute truth. When Tom Bower speaks in court, he holds evidence that cannot be refuted. He never strikes without ammunition. He never accuses without proof. But this time, his target isn't a financial conglomerate or a disgraced CEO. His target is the very foundation of the British royal bloodline itself. Look at the spectators section. Prince Harry sits there, shoulders tense beneath his dark suit jacket. His gaze, which has so often blazed with righteous anger toward the press, now carries something different. Emptiness. A haunting void that suggests a man on the edge of discovering a truth that will destroy him. Beside him sits Meghan Markle, still carrying herself with Hollywood polish. But watch her hands. They grip her handbag so tightly, her knuckles have turned white. That carefully maintained composure? It's about to shatter. Completely. Tom Bower's voice cuts through the courtroom, deep, resonant, devastating. He doesn't waste time on family squabbles or bridesmaid dress controversies. He goes straight for the jugular, the true bloodline of Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. When Bower speaks the name Trevor Engelson, Meghan's supposedly forgotten ex-husband, followed by the phrase genetic comparison results, a collective shiver runs through everyone present. This is no longer internet conspiracy theory territory. This is sworn testimony from one of Britain's most respected investigative journalists. The room falls into a silence so intense it becomes terrifying. You can hear the gasps from the royal legal team. Harry, the man who sacrificed everything, his titles, his safety, his relationship with his father and brother, to protect his small family, looks as though his soul has been ripped away. His mouth falls open, his eyes widen, staring into nothing. Perhaps in that moment, thousands of fragments from his past, lingering doubts, unexplained absences, rushed timelines, suddenly connect to form one horrifying picture. And Meghan's reaction? It's the clearest answer to the chaos. There's no firm denial, no defiant stare. Instead, there's complete emotional breakdown. Tears stream down her face. She stands abruptly, walking, almost running out of the courtroom, leaving security forces stunned. The sound of the wooden door slamming behind her feels like the final punctuation mark on a modern Cinderella story. Why would a legendary journalist like Tom Bauer choose this exact moment to expose everything? What does he hold in his hands that could shake an entire dynasty to its core? Operation Cuckoo, the file that changes everything. To understand the devastating power of Bauer's testimony, you need to understand the man delivering it. Tom Bauer isn't a blogger crafting theories from a basement. He's a retired lawyer, a seasoned BBC investigative journalist who has dedicated decades to bringing down those who consider themselves untouchable. His victim list reads like a who's who of power. Billionaire media owners, corrupt politicians, industry titans. Each one thought they were safe. Each one learned that Bauer operates by one steel-cold principle. He never strikes without having enough ammunition to guarantee total destruction. When Bauer wrote Revenge in 2022, the world was shocked by his revelations about Meghan. But what he's revealing in this London courtroom goes exponentially further. Under intense cross-examination by Meghan's high-powered legal team, Bauer remains eerily calm, almost coldly composed. He doesn't offer emotional speculation. Instead, he asks the court clerk to display a complex diagram on the courtroom's massive screen. It's a timeline of Meghan Markle's life from 2013 to 2018, a period he calls the record of overlaps. Bauer begins peeling back each layer with methodical precision. He dives deep into 2013, when Meghan finalized her divorce from film producer Trevor Engelson. According to the official narrative the Sussexes have always promoted, Meghan emerged as an independent woman, self-sufficient, completely severing ties with her past to embark on her journey toward royal love. But Bauer presents a drastically different reality. Through hotel records, verified phone logs, and testimony from former staff members, he asserts that the connection between Meghan and Trevor never truly ended. The room collectively leans forward. This isn't innuendo, this is documented evidence. Bauer's voice remains steady as he walks the court through what he discovered: Trevor Engelson's shadow lingering throughout Meghan's relationship with Harry. Between July 2016, when Meghan first met Harry, and their public engagement announcement, there were inexplicable gaps in Meghan's schedule while filming Suits in Toronto. These gaps, according to Bauer's evidence, oddly coincide with unpublicized trips made by one specific person: Trevor Engelson. The courtroom temperature seems to drop several degrees. What sends genuine shivers through everyone present is how Bauer describes his source network. He reveals he gained access to the palace's gatekeepers, longtime servants who observed events from behind the velvet curtains of Kensington Palace. These individuals remained silent for nearly a decade out of loyalty to the crown. But under the pressure of overwhelming evidence and the chaos surrounding the Sussexes, they chose to speak to Bauer. Think about what that means. Palace insiders, people who have dedicated their lives to protecting royal secrets, have broken their silence. They violated centuries of protocol because what they witnessed was too significant to bury. Bauer argues that doubts about Archie's paternity don't stem from malice, but from pure logic. He poses a devastating series of questions that the courtroom and the world cannot ignore. Why is every detail about Archie's birth shrouded in such impenetrable fog? Why did the famous royal doctors refuse to sign the traditional birth certificate, breaking centuries of established practice? And most critically, Why did Meghan insist on changing crucial information on her son's birth certificate just months after he was born? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're the foundation of Bauer's case. But he doesn't just expose Meghan. He indirectly eviscerates Harry's judgment. Bauer portrays Harry as a puppet in a perfectly staged play, where truths about bloodline were swapped for oaths of eternal love. Bauer claims he holds copies of internal reports from royal security forces who were instructed to monitor Meghan's relationships before the wedding. According to Bauer, these reports contain multiple red flags about the unwelcome presence of former figures in Meghan's life right on the brink of her royal wedding. The weight of this testimony doesn't come from volume. It comes from the quiet confidence of someone holding irrefutable truth. Bauer looks directly at Harry and delivers words that will haunt the prince forever. The truth doesn't belong to anyone. It simply exists. And my job is to bring it out of the dark cellar where it's been brought. In that moment, all of London realizes this is no longer a family dispute. This is a historical purge. And Tom Bauer holds the key to Pandora's box, the box the British royal family has been desperately trying to keep locked. The Trevor connection, Hollywood's forgotten prince. Why Trevor? What does a Hollywood film producer have to do with the British line of succession? These are questions millions are asking. Tom Bauer has answers that will disturb you. Bauer doesn't call Meghan a victim of the media. He calls her what the evidence suggests, a master strategist. Trevor Engelson isn't just an ex-husband who can be dismissed and forgotten. He's the man who stood by Meghan for nearly a decade, from when she was a struggling supporting actress trying to make her mark to when she reached the spotlight with Suits. Trevor is the one who holds all the memories, knows every habit, understands every ambition. Most importantly, he comprehends the darkest corners of Meghan's calculated climb to power, aspects that perhaps Prince Harry, in his infatuation, has never truly grasped. In court, Tom Bauer posed a question that made the entire room shudder. Could a woman as calculating as Meghan truly sever her lifeline when she wasn't sure she had a firm grip on the new island she was anchoring herself to? Based on investigative evidence, Bauer presented what he termed unusual communication patterns. Between 2016 and early 2017, right when Meghan was immersed in romantic moments with Harry, under paparazzi flashes, she allegedly maintained a complex connection with Trevor behind the scenes. Bauer claims Meghan used anonymous email accounts and high-level encrypted messaging apps. For what purpose? To discuss Hollywood business opportunities, or to maintain a safe exit strategy in case her royal dream shattered. But the absolute crux of Bauer's testimony lies in what he calls the timeline of genetics. This is a ruthless yet devastatingly logical argument. Bauer questions why Meghan pressured Harry to rush the wedding at such an unusual, almost frantic pace. Why the desperate rush to marry when their love was still fiery and the palace hadn't yet exerted significant pressure? The answer Bauer provided in court was like a knife to Harry's heart. It was a biological truth discovered at the end of 2018. Bauer argued that if Meghan became pregnant during a period when relationships were still tangled, when the connection with Trevor hadn't been completely severed, she would have faced a fateful dilemma. On one side, Trevor, the former partner who no longer held any value in terms of status or power. On the other, Harry, the golden ticket that would elevate her to the pinnacle of global recognition and wealth. Bauer asserts that Meghan's choice wasn't based on the call of her heart. It was based on power rankings, a calculated decision about which path offered maximum benefit. This isn't about a traditional affair. This strikes directly at the roots of the Succession Act. If what Bauer claims is true, that Archie carries Trevor Engelson's bloodline rather than Harry's, then the child has absolutely no royal blood. 0. This means Archie's presence on the line of succession would constitute national fraud, a grave constitutional violation. Tom Bauer referred to this as a painful psychological dissection. He argued that the entire Megxit event in 2020, when Harry and Meghan dramatically walked away from royal duties, wasn't actually about racism or privacy concerns, as they claimed in their Netflix series and Oprah interview. Bauer insists it was an escape, a desperate attempt to remove Archie from the control of royal doctors and avoid the strict DNA tests that the palace would undoubtedly require as the child grew up and revealed physical traits that bore no resemblance to Harry. Look at Harry in that courtroom moment. The man who gave up his homeland, publicly criticized his father, allegedly shattered the heart of his late grandmother, all to protect what he called family privacy. He had no idea he might have been protecting a genetic lie. At the end of this section, Tom Bauer left a question hanging in the air that made the entire courtroom fall into bitter silence. Why, when suspicions about Archie's bloodline began to leak within palace walls, did Meghan go to such extreme lengths to move Harry and the child to California, where privacy laws would become the strongest fortress to conceal this deception? The ghost of Trevor Engelson is no longer the past. It's present, tearing apart the Sussex future. The palace knew. Why silence became complicity. Many people make a critical mistake, thinking Buckingham Palace is always passive in the face of scandals. According to Tom Bauer, the reality is the complete opposite. Under the reign of the late Queen Elizabeth II, a woman who dedicated her entire life to protecting the sanctity of the crown, the rules of bloodline were never allowed to be compromised. Bauer made a shocking statement in court that sent gasps through the gallery. The palace was not naive. Immediately after Archie was born at Portland Hospital in May 2019, while the world celebrated the happiness of the Sussexes, behind the thick stone walls of Buckingham Palace, a secret genetic testing process was quietly set in motion. Bauer referred to it as a routine health check, but its true purpose was vital to the monarchy's survival. So, where's the result of that test now? Sources connected to Bauer's palace gatekeepers confirm it has never seen the light of day. It was sealed and stored in a special safe deep within the palace's wine cellar, a location where only the highest-ranking family members hold keys for access. You're likely asking the obvious question, why keep it hidden? If the result shows Archie doesn't carry Windsor blood, why wasn't it revealed back in 2019 when the truth could have been managed? Tom Bauer offered a ruthless explanation rooted in political survival. Imagine the collapse of an empire. In 2019, the British royal family was already reeling from the devastating scandal surrounding Prince Andrew and his connections to Jeffrey Epstein. If another fraud, this time involving paternity within the direct line of succession, was exposed, it would mark the end of the monarchy's credibility. King Charles, then still Prince of Wales, and Prince William faced a brutal choice: reveal the truth and witness potential collapse of public faith in the monarchy, or choose strategic silence to protect the institution's survival. They chose the second option. They chose silence. But this compassion and conservatism created what Bauer calls a media monster. The palace's silence inadvertently gave Meghan Markle the perfect shield. She understood that the palace would never dare reveal the truth, fearing the scandal would be too destructive. And from that protected position, the counterattacks on the royal family through explosive interviews and documentaries began to unfold with devastating effectiveness. But the detail that strikes hardest in Bauer's account concerns Prince Harry himself. Bauer emphasizes that Harry may be the most tragic victim in this entire drama. He's trapped in what Bauer calls a glass cage of lies. Harry fights the world, battles his own family, sacrifices everything to protect his wife and children. without ever realizing he might be defending a genetic fraud that he himself has not been made aware of. He believed every word Meghan said, trusted in the happiness of fatherhood, while potentially being turned into a tool for a sophisticated power grab. Bauer's testimony about this DNA report isn't just an accusation. It's a warning bell about the emptiness behind grand ceremonies and fairy tale narratives. If what he says is true, then Archie, the child who stands seventh in line to the throne, is in fact a stranger to the Windsor bloodline. And when this truth exploded in court in January 2026, we understand that the price of silence the palace has paid over the years has become an enormous debt that could burn everything down. The silence that screams guilt. In the world of diplomacy and royal dynasties, silence is often considered golden. But in the wake of Tom Bauer's bombshell testimony about paternity, the silence from Montecito is no longer golden. It begins to feel like an unspoken confession. Let's examine the facts with cold logic. Meghan Markle has never hesitated to sue major newspapers for even the smallest privacy violations. She's filed defamation lawsuits over unflattering photos. She's launched legal action against publications for printing a private letter to her father. Yet she remains completely silent in the face of an accusation that could destroy her entire reputation and her son's future. Why hasn't there been an immediate defamation lawsuit filed against Tom Bauer? Why has the Sussex office, which is extraordinarily sensitive to any rumors, allowed the names Trevor Engelson and Operation Cuckoo to float freely in global media for weeks on end? The only quick and devastatingly effective way to silence Tom Bauer, who is betting his entire reputation on this testimony, would be a public DNA test, transparent and witnessed by independent agencies. That would be the final shot to end all conspiracy theories permanently. But ladies and gentlemen, their decision to retreat into the shadows raises a massive question. Could it be they cannot present that evidence because the truth simply doesn't belong to them? Think about what Meghan's legal strategy has always been: aggressive, immediate, overwhelming force against any perceived slight. The silence now is deafening precisely because it's so out of character. Let's talk about Harry, the most tragic figure in this entire whirlwind. Close sources describe him as living in complete isolation at his Montecito villa. Try putting yourself in the shoes of someone who has sacrificed everything: titles, military protection, blood relationships with father and brother, even national pride. All to protect the woman he loves and the child he believes is his flesh and blood. And now he faces the terrifying prospect that all those sacrifices were built on a foundation of sophisticated deceit. If Archie does not carry the Windsor bloodline, the consequences extend far beyond hurt feelings. The boy would not only lose his royal title and his position as seventh in line to the throne, he would lose his entire worldview, the identity he's being raised to understand. This would be the most brutal stripping of identity imaginable for a child. And for Harry, there would be no return to the royal family, for he would have unknowingly become an accomplice in constitutional fraud. The truth always finds a crack. Tom Bauer has ignited a battle in which there will be no true victor. The genetic documents he references, if indeed brought forward in more explosive legal proceedings to come, will force the British Parliament to intervene. This is no longer a matter of just one family's drama. It's a question of national legitimacy. In this game of royalty, the truth may be hidden behind fortified wine cellars or American privacy laws, but it always finds a crack through which to leak out. History has proven this time and again. Who holds the final card in this game? Is it Tom Bauer with his network of shadowy palace sources? Is it Buckingham Palace with its tactics to protect the monarchy at any cost? Or is it Meghan herself, potentially holding evidence that could either vindicate her completely or destroy her forever? The story in the London courtroom may have concluded its initial session, but its aftershocks will reverberate through the British monarchy for decades to come. Parliamentary inquiries are being demanded. Constitutional experts are being consulted. The line of succession itself may need to be examined and potentially rewritten. Think about the implications if Parliament is forced to investigate. They would need to subpoena DNA evidence. They would need to question Trevor Engelson directly under oath. They would need to examine Meghan's movements, communications, and relationships during the critical period between 2016 and 2018. This wouldn't be tabloid speculation anymore. It would be official government investigation into the legitimacy of a royal heir. The constitutional crisis would be unprecedented in modern British history. For Harry, the psychological devastation is almost unimaginable. Every moment of joy with Archie would now be tainted by doubt. Every photograph, every milestone, every proud father moment, all potentially built on a lie. The man who walked away from everything to protect his family may discover he was protecting a fiction. And what about Archie himself? If the truth is, as Bauer suggests, this innocent child becomes the center of a scandal he had no part in creating. His entire identity, his understanding of who he is and where he comes from, would be shattered. The psychological damage could be profound and lasting. What happens next? The legal proceedings are far from over. Bauer's testimony was just the opening salvo. Sources close to the case suggest he has additional evidence he hasn't yet revealed. Documents, communications, perhaps even testimony from Trevor Engelson himself. The Sussex legal team faces an impossible situation. If they sue for defamation, they open themselves to discovery, meaning Bauer's lawyers could legally compel DNA testing, communication records, and testimony under oath. If they remain silent, the accusations stand unchallenged, growing in credibility with each passing day. Buckingham Palace faces its own nightmare scenario. If they confirm Bauer's claims, they admit to years of covering up fraud and potentially invalidate Archie's place in succession. If they deny the claims without proof, they risk Bauer releasing evidence that makes them look complicit in the deception. The only winners in this scenario might be the British tabloids, who are having their greatest moment since the death of Princess Diana. But for everyone else, Harry, Meghan, Archie, the royal family, the institution of monarchy itself, this is an unmitigated disaster. Will the truth be revealed in classified files finally brought to light? Or will it remain as elusive fragments hidden beneath layers of power, legal maneuvering, and institutional self-preservation? The questions we must ask. As we process this explosive testimony, we need to ask ourselves some hard questions. If Tom Bauer is lying, or even exaggerating, why hasn't he been sued into oblivion? His testimony was delivered under oath in a court of law. False testimony carries severe penalties, including perjury charges. Would a journalist of his stature risk his entire career and potential imprisonment on fabrications? If Meghan has nothing to hide, why not immediately provide DNA evidence to silence critics forever? One simple test, conducted by independent laboratories, witnessed by neutral parties, would end this nightmare instantly. The silence suggests either legal strategy or something more troubling. If the palace truly has evidence in a locked safe proving Archie's Windsor bloodline, why not release it? What possible reason exists to keep that evidence secret if it would vindicate the Sussexes and end the speculation? If Harry genuinely believes Archie is his biological son, why does he look so devastated in those courtroom photographs? Why the haunted expression? Why the inability to meet anyone's eyes? These questions don't have comfortable answers. And that's precisely why this story has gripped the world's attention so completely. The final verdict. What began as a royal romance, celebrated globally as a modern fairy tale, may end as the greatest deception in contemporary monarchy history. Tom Bower's testimony has ripped away the curtain, exposing what may be a carefully constructed illusion. Whether you believe Bower's claims or consider them the ultimate hit piece against the Sussexes, one thing is undeniable. The questions he's raised will not disappear. They will echo through history, casting doubt on everything we thought we knew about Harry and Meghan's story. The truth, as Bower said in court, doesn't belong to anyone. It simply exists, and no amount of PR campaigns, legal threats, or strategic silence can keep it buried forever. For Harry, the man who wanted nothing more than to protect his family from the intrusions he believes killed his mother, the irony is devastating. His attempts to shield his loved ones from scrutiny may have created the exact conditions for the most explosive scrutiny imaginable. For Meghan, the actress who became a princess and then walked away from royalty to build her own empire, the stakes couldn't be higher. If Bower's claims are validated, everything she's built, her brand, her credibility, her future, collapses instantly. For Archie, an innocent child caught in the crossfire of adult deceptions and power games, the future is uncertain and potentially traumatic, regardless of what the truth reveals. And for the British monarchy, an institution that has survived wars, scandals, and centuries of upheaval, this may be the test that determines whether it can survive in the modern age of DNA testing and demands for absolute transparency. We are committed to continuing to follow and bring you the latest developments in this unfolding drama. The truth is coming, whether through court documents, DNA evidence, or whistleblower testimony. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on what may be the biggest royal scandal in modern history. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Tom Bower's damning testimony, or do you think this is just a final attempt to destroy the Sussex family? Do you think Meghan should immediately provide DNA evidence to silence critics? Do you believe Harry knew the truth, or is he the ultimate victim in this scenario? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss what this means for the future of the monarchy and whether the institution can survive if these allegations prove true. The storm of revelation has only just begun, and before it's over, everything we thought we knew about the most famous couple in the world may be proven to be nothing more than a carefully crafted lie.